My son's French fiancée called me an ugly cow in her native language, thinking I couldn't understand. I smiled politely and served her more wine. 3 hours later, I casually mentioned to her parents that immigration would be very interested in our conversation. If you're watching this, you know what's coming. Buckle up. Let me rewind and tell you how I discovered that my future daughter-in-law was nothing more than a gold-digging fraud with a charming accent. It started on a crisp October evening in Austin, the kind of evening where the air smells like possibility and regret. David, my 35-year-old son, had finally brought home Camille Dubois, the mysterious French woman he'd been dating for 6 months. Camille was everything I'd expected, amplified tenfold, petite, elegant, radiating that effortless chic that seems genetically encoded in French women. Her English was flawless, seasoned with just enough accent to be captivating rather than confusing. "Mrs. Thompson," she said, clasping my hands in hers, her eyes sparkling. "David has told me so much about you. I'm so honored to finally meet the woman who raised such a wonderful man." I felt myself succumbing to her charm immediately. After David's revolving door of vapid girlfriends who struggled to remember my name, Camille's seeming fascination with our family history felt like a warm bath. She asked insightful questions about the photos on my mantelpiece, complimented my cooking with what seemed like genuine delight, and even helped clear the table without being prompted. David was practically levitating with joy, utterly smitten. "Camille is fluent in 5 languages," he announced proudly, squeezing her hand a little too tightly. "She's been trying to teach me French, although I'm a lost cause." "Oh, you're being modest," Camille demurred, her eyes twinkling mischievously. "His pronunciation is, how do you say, endearingly awful." We all laughed, and for a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to believe that David had finally found someone worthy of him, someone with depth, intelligence, and genuine affection, someone who might actually stick around long enough for me to become truly attached. That illusion shattered exactly 47 minutes later. After dinner, David excused himself to take an urgent work call. I was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher when Camille's phone buzzed. She answered in rapid-fire French, her voice resonating from the living room with that unconscious arrogance of someone confident they're speaking a private language. But here's the cardinal rule of deception. Never underestimate your audience. I'd spent 4 formative years in Lyon, working as an au pair to finance my college dreams. My French was a little rusty, but far from extinct. And what I overheard in those next few minutes sent a chill down my spine that had nothing to do with the autumn air. "The mama? She seems innocuous enough," Camille was saying, her tone dripping with disdain. "Old, clearly desperate to hold on to her son. She'll be a pushover once we're married." I froze, a dinner plate dangling precariously above the dishwasher. The house is divine, even larger than David described. And yes, there are substantial family assets to consider. She mentioned the comfortable inheritance his father had left us. Her laugh was like shards of ice. "Don't worry, I've already begun assessing the inheritance prospects. Americans are so mawkish about family legacies." My hands trembled, but I forced myself to maintain a veneer of normalcy, continuing the rhythmic clatter of cleaning while I listened to my future daughter-in-law dissect my family with cold-blooded precision. David is the perfect dupe, naive, generous, and completely infatuated. The green card will be a formality after the wedding, and the divorce even simpler once I have what I require. 2 years, tops. Then I'm free to return to Paris with American citizenship and enough capital to live life exactly as I envision. The plate slipped from my numbed fingers and shattered against the unforgiving tile floor. "Mrs. Thompson, are you all right?" Camille materialized in the doorway, her face an expertly crafted mask of concern. A flawless performance if I hadn't just been privy to her true venomous monologue. "Just clumsy," I managed, kneeling to gather the fragments. "These old hands aren't what they used to be." She rushed to assist me, her movements graceful and solicitous. "Please, allow me. You shouldn't be cleaning up after hosting such a magnificent dinner." The irony was so potent, it stung. This woman had just finished outlining her scheme to manipulate and ultimately fleece my son, and now she was helping me clean up broken dishes with the feigned tenderness of a devoted daughter-in-law. "I have experience with cleaning," she offered with a self-deprecating chuckle. "I worked in hotels in Paris before meeting David. Humble work, but it taught me to value when others go to so much effort for me." Another lie delivered with such disarming sincerity that I almost, for a millisecond, believed it. Almost. David reappeared from his call, profusely apologetic. "Sorry about that. Crisis at the construction site, but it's under control now." He surveyed the scene of us cleaning up together, and his face beamed with naive delight. "Look at you two already bonding like family!" Camille stood gracefully disposing of the broken porcelain. "Your mother is exquisite, David. So warm and welcoming. I feel immensely fortunate. She was good. Unnervingly good. Every gesture, every inflection, every meticulously chosen word was orchestrated to reinforce her carefully constructed persona, the grateful foreign girl, captivated by American family values and eager to assimilate. I somehow found my voice amidst the turmoil. "Well, aren't you a sweetheart? David's right, you already feel like family." We reconvened in the living room with coffee, and Camille entertained us with what I now recognized as meticulously curated anecdotes about her life in France. The struggling artist narrative, the difficult childhood that made her appreciate David's stability, the aspirations of building a life in America with the perfect partner. Every word was calculated, precisely calibrated to exploit David's protective instincts and his ingrained American savior complex, and it was working like a charm. My son hung on every syllable, his eyes soft with the kind of blinding love that compels intelligent men to commit remarkably foolish acts. "Tell Mom about the visa situation," David prompted gently. "She might have some insights. She's always been adept at navigating bureaucratic complexities." Camille's eyes flickered almost imperceptibly, but her radiant smile remained unwavering. "Oh, it's complicated, but not pressing. The tourist visa is valid for several more months, and David has been helping me understand the procedures for more permanent residency." The pause was perfectly timed, allowing David to fill in the romantic subtext without her having to utter a direct lie. A masterful stroke. "We're contemplating engagement soon," David announced, reaching for her hand. "Once Camille is settled and confident with the prospect of remaining permanently. When you know, I suppose," I said, surprised by the steadiness of my voice. Camille lowered her head demurely. "I never anticipated finding someone like David. Sometimes the heart confounds us." No, the heart had definitely been blindsided tonight, just not in the manner she intended. As the evening drew to a close and David walked Camille to her car, I stood at the window, watching them embrace. She was whispering something that elicited a laugh from him, probably spinning another elaborate fabrication about their shared future. He looked so radiant, so hopeful, so utterly oblivious to the fact that the woman in his arms regarded him as nothing more than a stepping stone to American citizenship and the financial resources of our family. The pivotal question now became, what was I going to do about it? I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sequestered myself in my late husband's study, surrounded by 4 decades of financial documents and family records, attempting to quantify exactly what Camille perceived as her potential jackpot. Robert had been a meticulous man, methodical in his approach to financial security. Our assets weren't ostentatious, but they were substantial. The house alone was worth close to $1 million, situated on 2 sprawling acres in one of Austin's most exclusive neighborhoods. The diversified investment portfolios, the robust retirement accounts, and the comprehensive life insurance policies collectively painted a portrait of comfortable, upper-middle-class affluence. Nothing extravagant, but certainly alluring enough to entice someone with Camille's clearly predatory motivations. What chilled me to the core was the sheer efficiency with which she had assessed our situation. One dinner, and she'd already calculated inheritance projections and devised timeline strategies. This wasn't mere impulsive opportunism. This was meticulously planned professional predation. By dawn, I'd reached 2 firm conclusions. First, I would not disclose what I'd overheard to David. Not yet. He was so deeply infatuated that any accusation from me would only serve to drive him closer to her, casting me in the role of the meddling mother who couldn't accept her son's happiness. I'd seen enough cautionary tales to know precisely how that narrative ended. Second, I needed to ascertain Camille Dubois' true identity. I began with the basics: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Her social media presence was polished but remarkably sparse, primarily consisting of photos from the preceding 18 months. No deep history, no childhood friends or family members tagged in old posts. The few pictures, ostensibly from France, were generic tourist snapshots that could have been taken by anyone. Her LinkedIn profile claimed employment in hospitality management in Paris, but the company names were vague and lacked any colleague endorsements or recommendations. For someone purportedly in her late 20s with a career in the hospitality sector, her professional network was conspicuously absent. I was spiraling down internet rabbit holes when my phone buzzed. David's name illuminated the screen, and my heart constricted with guilt. How do you converse with your child when you possess information that will shatter his world but lack concrete proof? Morning, Mom. Thanks again for last night. Camille hasn't stopped raving about how wonderful you were. I'll bet she hasn't. She's lovely, sweetheart. I can certainly see why you're so enamored with her. I'm contemplating proposing soon, he said, his voice brimming with anticipation. Perhaps around Christmas. I know it's accelerated, but when it feels this right, it feels this right. Christmas, a mere 2 months away. My stomach clenched. That's wonderful news, David. Have you given any thought to the proposal itself? Location ideas? As he rambled on about his meticulously planned romantic gestures, I was mentally calculating timelines. If they married promptly after the holidays, she'd have her green card application filed by early spring. 2 years later, she'd be eligible for permanent residency. 2 years after that, full citizenship. Then the strategically timed divorce, orchestrated to maximize her entitlement to community property. 4 years. She was meticulously plotting to dismantle my son's life over a 4-year period. Mom, are you still there? Sorry, darling. Just overwhelmed with happiness. I think it's amazing. The platitude flowed more smoothly than I'd anticipated. Have you met her family in person yet? Her parents? Not in person, but we video chat with them occasionally. They reside in Marseille. Her father's a retired school teacher. Her mother works in local government. Very traditional family, which is why she's being so circumspect about the engagement timeline. They insist on meeting me formally first. Traditional family. If they even existed, they were probably horrified by their daughter's elaborate immigration fraud scheme. Or perhaps they were complicit, coaching her through her long-distance destruction of an American family. That sounds reasonable, I said cautiously. Perhaps you should visit them before proposing, gain a deeper understanding of her background. Actually, they're planning to visit us next month. Camille was adamant that they meet you before we make anything official. She places great importance on family approval. Naturally, she did. Meet the Marks family, charm the parents, establish herself as the ideal future daughter-in-law, then spring the engagement and rush toward marriage before anyone had time to scrutinize her motives. After David ended the call, I sat motionless, staring at my computer screen, the weight of impossible choices pressing down on me. I could engage a private investigator, but that felt like crossing a boundary that would irreparably damage my relationship with David, regardless of the findings. I could confront Camille directly, but she was clearly a skilled manipulator, and I possessed only an overheard phone conversation as evidence. Or I could exercise patience, adopt a long-term strategy, allowing her to believe she was succeeding while I gathered the evidence required to expose her unequivocally. That's when I recalled my sister's youngest daughter, Claire, who worked for the State Department in visa services. Family connections could prove invaluable when unraveling the intricacies of immigration fraud. Aunt Margaret, you're placing me in a precarious position, Claire said, her voice guarded over the phone. We were having a sister lunch date at my favorite cafe, although my attention was only superficially focused on my salad. I'm not asking you to do anything unethical, I clarified, stirring my iced tea deliberately. I simply want to comprehend the general process, purely for informational purposes. Claire chuckled, despite herself. Informational purposes, indeed? And this has absolutely nothing to do with David's mysterious French girlfriend. You always were too insightful for your own good. I leaned back in my chair, scrutinizing my niece's face. Claire had inherited the family's acute instincts and unwavering pragmatism. If anyone could provide guidance through this morass, it was her. "Tell me what you know," she said quietly. "Everything." So I did. The overheard phone conversation, the flimsy social media presence, the conveniently tailored backstory that triggered all of David's emotional vulnerabilities. Claire listened intently, her expression growing progressively graver with each detail. "There are definite red flags," she conceded when I concluded. "The timeline is exceptionally aggressive, the background check appears cursory, and frankly, the entire narrative reads like a textbook case study in marriage fraud indicators." "There's a handbook?" "Oh, honey, there are several. Immigration fraud is a thriving industry, and we encounter variations of this pattern constantly. The degree of sophistication is usually the differentiating factor." Claire retrieved her phone and showed me a government website. "Examine this checklist. How many boxes does she tick?" As we systematically reviewed the indicators, my heart sank. Camille wasn't merely suspicious. She was practically a textbook example of marriage fraud. Glaring red flags, rushed timeline, financial motivation, limited verifiable background, an age disparity favoring the immigrant, and the overt emotional manipulation of the American partner. "The crucial point is," Claire continued, "knowing something and proving it are two entirely disparate challenges. These individuals are professionals. They've studied American men. They know precisely which emotional buttons to manipulate, and they're exceptionally adept at concealing their tracks. So, what course of action would you recommend?" Claire paused thoughtfully. "Officially, I'd advise David to decelerate, conduct thorough due diligence, and insist on meeting her family in France before making any binding commitments. And unofficially?" "Unofficially, I'd meticulously collect evidence, rigorously document everything, and prepare myself for the possibility that by the time you secure irrefutable proof, it might be too late to prevent the marriage, but not too late to mitigate the fallout." The fallout: my son's shattered heart, his financial ruin, his shattered faith in love. The reverberations could persist for years, perhaps decades. Some wounds never fully heal. "There's another dimension to consider," Claire added cautiously. "If she's operating professionally, David likely isn't her first target. These schemes often operate within the same geographic regions, employ similar methodologies. There might be other victims. Other sons, other families devastated by Camille's calculated charm." The realization ignited a cold fury within me that I'd never known existed. How would I locate them? "With extreme caution," Claire cautioned, "and strictly legally. But if patterns of behavior exist, they invariably leave traces: immigration applications, marriage records, divorce proceedings. It's all publicly accessible information if you know where to search." By the time we concluded lunch, I had formulated a plan. It wasn't an admirable plan, and it wasn't an uncomplicated plan, but it was meticulously comprehensive. If Camille Dubois was a seasoned con artist, she was about to discover that Margaret Thompson wasn't nearly as gullible as she appeared. That afternoon, I made 3 pivotal phone calls. The first was to a private investigator Claire had recommended, someone specializing in discreet background verification with impeccable references. The second was to my attorney, to update my will and establish additional financial safeguards that had nothing to do with Camille and everything to do with preparing for any contingency. The third call was the most crucial. "David, sweetheart, I've been pondering what you mentioned about Camille's parents visiting next month." "Yes, what about it?" "Well, I'd love to host them for a dinner, a proper welcome to the family. And you know what? I think I should brush up on my French before they arrive. Maybe enroll in a refresher course. I'd hate for them to think I wasn't making an effort to connect with them." The private investigator's name was Marcus Webb, and he was nothing like my preconceived notions. No trench coat or fedora, just a mild-mannered man in his 50s who could have been anyone's accountant, which, as it turned out, was precisely the point. "The most effective investigations occur when no one suspects they're under investigation," he explained, settling into the chair across from my kitchen table with a manila folder and a cup of coffee. especially in situations like this where the subject is already acutely aware of potential scrutiny. It had been 2 weeks since I'd retained his services, and the preliminary findings were enlightening in the most disconcerting ways. "Let's begin with the confirmed facts," Marcus said, opening his folder. "Camille Dubois entered the United States on a tourist visa 8 months ago. The address she provided on her entry documents is a short-term rental apartment that she vacated after 6 weeks, coinciding with when she presumably met your son. So, she came here with the express intention of finding a husband. The evidence strongly suggests systematic targeting rather than organic relationship development." He produced a series of photographs. These are extracted from her social media activity. In the month preceding her departure from France, she was actively researching American dating apps, joining international relationship websites, and participating in online forums discussing American immigration law. The photographs depicted Camille at her laptop, frequenting coffee shops in Paris, invariably alone, invariably engaged in some online activity. Even in the candid shots, there was a calculating glint in her eyes. "Here's where it becomes particularly illuminating," Marcus continued. "The company she claimed to have been employed by in Paris did exist, but it ceased operations 3 years ago. The references she furnished to David are fabricated. The phone numbers reroute to a voice service that plays pre-recorded messages." My coffee grew tepid as Marcus meticulously presented the evidence of Camille's elaborate deception. A fabricated employment history, no verifiable residential address in France for the past 2 years, and, most damningly, a pattern of social media connections suggesting prior contact with other American men before settling on David. "There's more," he said quietly. "I've uncovered evidence of at least 2 prior attempts at marriage-based immigration fraud. Different aliases, different fabricated stories, but the same face and the same modus operandi." He slid 2 additional photographs across the table. The first depicted Camille with a man in his 40s outside a courthouse in Nevada. The second was extracted from a wedding announcement in a small-town newspaper in Colorado, featuring Marie Fontaine and her American husband. Both marriages dissolved within 2 years. Both ended in divorce settlements with significant financial payouts. Both men are now grappling with crippling debt and profound emotional trauma, while she vanished with American citizenship and their assets. I stared at the photographs, a wave of nausea washing over me. David is oblivious. David only knows what she has chosen to reveal to him, a carefully constructed illusion. But Margaret, there's a critical point you must grasp. This isn't simply a case of fraud. It constitutes a criminal enterprise. We're dealing with someone who has shattered multiple families and exhibits no inclination to cease her actions. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in. What course of action should I pursue with this information? Marcus leaned forward, his gaze intense. That hinges on your desired outcome. Do you aspire to shield David from making a catastrophic mistake, or do you seek to ensure that Camille faces repercussions for her past actions? Both, I said without hesitation. I want both. Then we must adopt a highly strategic approach. Moving prematurely could startle her into absconding before David fully comprehends the situation. Moving too languidly risks allowing the fraud to proceed according to her predetermined schedule. Marcus produced a timeline chart. She intends to introduce her parents next week, most likely actors hired to play the roles. The engagement will follow shortly thereafter, culminating in a Christmas proposal that allows sufficient time for a New Year's wedding. New Year's tax advantages, strategic immigration timing, and potent emotional manipulation, all elegantly packaged in romantic symbolism. It's textbook. Marcus closed his folder and looked directly at me. The fundamental question is, are you prepared to engage in a protracted game of strategy and deception? That evening, I sat in my garden, watching the sunset paint the sky with strokes of gold and crimson. Somewhere across town, David was likely dining with his fraudulent fiancée, discussing wedding plans and fantasizing about their idyllic future. And next week, I would find myself seated across from counterfeit parents, speaking my rusty French and feigning belief in a fabricated love story. But Camille Dubois had committed one fatal error in selecting our family as her target. She had erroneously assumed that a 64-year-old widow would prove easily manipulated, too polite to question, too grateful for her son's happiness to scrutinize its origins. She was on the verge of learning that such assumptions could carry devastating consequences. The doorbell chimed precisely at 6 p.m., and I smoothed my dress one last time before answering. Camille stood on my porch, accompanied by an impeccably dressed older couple who could have been plucked from a casting call for sophisticated French parents. "Mrs. Thompson," Camille said, her smile radiating seeming authenticity, "I would like to introduce you to my parents, Henri and Margot Dubois." Henri stepped forward with old-world grace, taking my hand and bestowing a light kiss upon it. "Madam Thompson, we are deeply honored to meet the mother of the man who has captured our daughter's heart." His French accent was impeccable, his mannerisms precisely what one might anticipate from a retired teacher from Marseille. Margot embraced me warmly, exuding the aroma of expensive perfume and conversing in rapid, enthusiastic French about how delighted she was to finally meet me. They were good, remarkably polished. "Please come in," I said in my intentionally clumsy French. "I apologize for my poor pronunciation. It's been many years since I've spoken your beautiful language." The effect was immediate and telling. Camille's eyes flickered with an expression that might have been apprehension, while her fake parents exchanged a brief, almost imperceptible glance. They hadn't anticipated that I spoke French at all, let alone discern that their authentic accents originated from Paris rather than Marseille. David arrived as we were settling into the living room, bearing wine and flowers and practically glowing with happiness. "Aren't they wonderful, Mom? I feel like I've gained a whole new family." Henri lifted his glass, offering a toast to family. I replied in fluent French, praising Marseille's Vieux Port and the Friday fish market. Margot smiled, then used Parisian slang no Marseillais would touch. Camille's knuckles whitened. I let the silence stretch, then switched registers and asked which lycée had granted her baccalaureate. Henri named a school closed since 2009. David blinked. I set down my glass and, in French, thanked them for bringing their original passports for the notary tomorrow. Margot's purse tightened under her elbow. In English, I added lightly, "And immigration loves tidy paperwork." Camille's smile fissured like ice tonight. So, as you can see, sometimes the greatest strength comes from quiet observation and a willingness to play the long game. The heart of this story is about a mother's unwavering love and fierce determination to protect her child, even when faced with a master manipulator. And trust me, the game is far from over. Things are about to get very interesting in part 2 as Margaret continues her strategic moves, uncovering even more secrets and preparing for a showdown that you won't believe. I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on everything that's happened so far. What do you think Margaret will do next? What are your predictions for Camille? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your insights and opinions. And if you found this story as captivating as I hope you did, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss part 2 and any other upcoming videos. We've got so much more to explore together, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you.